What's up, YouTube? Happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day to you guys. I'm pre-recording this video because I am going to be out with some family obligations, but I wanted to do kind of a tongue-in-cheek red, white, and blue vintage Kenner mostly market update. And we're going to focus on those colors because it's the 4th of July. I hope that everyone in the U.S. is enjoying their holiday. So before I begin any further, let me say thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys allow me to make more and better videos. Let's dig into some pretty cool items, all red, white, and blue. I just picked some random stuff that I thought you guys would find fun to look at, and all of these are closed prices, so it gives you a rough idea. Now, Stormtroopers are always tough to find minty white, and this one does look fairly white. And this is it right here. This is the China Raised Bar COO, and it includes the blue-black version 4 blaster. Let's see if we can find a good look of the COO. And so there it is. So the Raised Bar figures have a little, just like it says, a raised bar on the back of the leg, and it says China stamped on there. There are also French Meccano raised bars that are blank raised bars. But the China ones have China written on the back, and it looked like a really beautiful example of a Stormtrooper. It was loose, complete, and it sold at auction on June 19th for $65. 25 bids plus $5 shipping. Pretty good price there, honestly. We all know how expensive Stormtroopers are loose graded, so I imagine that somebody's going to be sending this one off to AFA or their grader of choice, and he sure does look nice and minty white. Next up, we've got another one. This one was already graded. This was a Hong Kong 1977 UKG 85%, and look how nice and bright white that one is. Brand new case style. That one was listed for 225 pounds. Best offer accepted. I didn't look up the best offer accepted for these folks because the website is down. I use 130point.com to look up sales prices. You can copy and paste the subject line of the auction or the item, and it'll tell you what the sales price is, but they go through maintenance a lot because they're trying to add more features to it. So when I'm recording this video, which is June 21st, before I head out of town, the website was down. So you'll have to kind of guess what the final sales price was. But man, what a gorgeous example of a nice Hong Kong Stormtrooper. This was a lot. Here's a loose lot, and it included 3 weapons. It did not include the weapon for the Stormtrooper, the first 12 Stormtrooper, but this lot included a Stormtrooper, the Hoth Stormtrooper, the AT-AT driver, and then another incomplete Hoth Stormtrooper that was yellowed, is missing the cape on him. But a nice little lot there. That one sold for $72.88 plus shipping, so it gives you a nice little number there for a bargain kind of lot of figures. Here was a Stormtrooper on a Return of the Jedi card. So we've got the red and the white this time. And this one was a yellowed blister. It was kind of semi-unpunched. It has the punch tab just hanging by a thread there on the bottom. It had the J.C. Penney price sticker, but as I mentioned, it was a yellowed blister. That one sold at auction on June 21st for $229.50. $229.50. You can easily double that price for the same condition Return of the Jedi Stormtrooper if it had a clear blister. They're just very, very tough to find and very, very pricey. This was a fun one. This was the Power of the Force Last 17 Luke Stormtrooper disguise, but this was just the helmet. And it gives you a nice comparison there versus the first 12 Stormtrooper. And it's a non-repro, so there are repro examples of this Stormtrooper helmet out there, apparently. So be careful there, but nice and clean with good paint applications. Just the helmet sold for $165.50 on 4 bids. That is a big, big number. And you know, there's just a lot of people out there that are trying to complete their Luke Stormtroopers, so I can see why that one was in high demand. Next up, we have the blue and white, and that is an R2-D2. This is a 12-back A with the SKU on the footer stand. So on these footers, if we can get a good shot of it here, doesn't look like he included a clean shot of the footer. Oh, there it is. So underneath the foot, on the footer there, underneath R2-D2, the action figure, you can see it's got a numbered SKU on there, and that it signifies that this is the earliest of the early 12 backs for R2-D2, and so they're very desirable among high-end collectors. This one was ungraded, but in pretty good condition, probably 75 or 75 plus condition. That one sold for $2,200 plus shipping on 45 bids. So as you can tell, any SKU footer stand 12-back A's are very, very pricey, but that was a really nice example. Just some edge wear and, you know, minor creasing, things like that, but give me a break. It's an SKU on the footer, so it's very, very pricey. This was another cool one. This was a CAS custom graded item. It was a 75 plus loose graded figure, but it was displayed with a 12-back card. I believe it was a 12-back. Displayed with card back, and let's see if we got a picture of the back here. So here's the back. So it was a 12-back, and it was 75 plus was the grade for the figure. And that's one thing you got to really look out for on R2-D2s is that sticker. That sticker can get yellowed pretty easily these days, even ones that are already graded. I think we've covered a number of AFA graded examples where it was very high grade, but the sticker had yellowed since grading. And I think we're going to see more and more of that as the years go by, because this plastic's going to degrade no matter what kind of case it's in, unfortunately. Here was the Droid factory. So this included the box as well as a mostly complete Droid factory, unassembled. So you can see there, it's got the R2-D2 dome there, and it looks like it's got most of, if not all the parts. It's missing probably, it's probably missing something, I don't know, but you know, it's a really cool play set that was later repurposed for Jabba's kind of dungeon. And this one sold for $224.99 plus about $25 shipping. Here's the figure right there. You can see how yellow that sticker is on that three-legged R2-D2. The three-legged R2-D2 vintage style vintage Kenner version is only available in this playset. So it's a very desirable figure, especially in high grade. I've seen some high grade examples for this three-legged Droids factory R2-D2 go for $800 plus. Next up, I thought we would show this PSA Gem Mint Tin 21B. And so again, we got blue as the theme. And so this was a 2020 Topps Star Wars Living set. And a pretty cool picture there of 21B with a lot of wear on the blue there. But it's graded Gem Mint 10. And that one sold for $36.35. That's a pretty good deal. I mean, I know it's a new card, but it is a Gem Mint 10. And 21B doesn't get enough recognition, in my opinion. He's a cool droid. He's just kind of a retro speaker for his face and voice modulation. It's just everything about it screams, you know, steampunk. And I just love that figure. I've got a number of examples in my collection. But anyway, $36.35 plus $5.25 shipping for a Gem Mint 10 PSA is pretty awesome. Here's another 21B. This is the Gentle Giant from 2014. Premier Guild exclusive. So I think the Premier Guild is if you are a paying yearly member for Jumbo Giant, you get your selection of these figures. And so it's got the Gentle Giant Premier Guild 2014 exclusive. So every year they'd come out with an exclusive, I assume. What I liked about the Gentle Giants, I don't collect Gentle Giants just because they're too big, but they ship them in these acrylic kind of clamshells to protect the actual item, so you know that they're in good condition. And they command big money. This one sold for $251.50. We've documented on the channel a number of first shot prototype Gentle Giants that command big money on the secondary market, but just a cool kind of item that you don't see often. Here is a vintage Kenner mint on card 21B with a yellowed blister. This is an unpunched Empire Strikes Back card, and this is the 48 back A, I believe. But a very nice looking, let's see if it's the A or the B. You have to look at the factory code down there. So this is the Unitoy, which I believe is the A back, but don't quote me on that. But a pretty good condition overall for 21B. And this one sold for $358. Again, if it had been a clear blister, you can probably just about double that price. So there's been a number of examples on Facebook and on eBay that have sold with a clear blister for easily double that price. Now let's move on to red, shall we? We've got a red figure, and I've decided to go with Leia Organa for the first red figure. This was a loose but very, very clean Leia Organa. This is the non-turtleneck version, so it's got the exposed neck paint there, and this came with the version 4 blue blaster, so it looked to be minty fresh. That one sold for big money, $127.50. That's a very, very high number for a loose ungraded figure, but it does look really clean, and she's one of those figures that's very difficult to get clean, mainly because of the wear on the hands or the discoloration to the neck. Oftentimes you'll see the neck paint there discolor to like a greenish color. So very nice clean example though for Leia, and this one is the Hong Kong version. So very high grade, probably easily an 85 grade, and the price of course reflected that. So very cool. And here's one that was already graded. This one had an older case style, but this was an AFA 80 crew neck. Crew neck is the word I was looking for. I couldn't think of it. The crew neck version. So this is the same figure except already graded, and again, admittedly, it's an older case style. But that one sold for $109.50. That's a pretty good deal despite the case style. And for those of you wondering, you can send these older cases into AFA and they'll regrade it with the new cases. And I tried it one time as an experiment to see if the grades would stay the same, and all 7 of them came back with the same grade. Now, these cases are a little tricky because the figures are just kind of wedged in there, and they can kind of rattle around and cause damage to the actual figure. So there's never any guarantee that you're going to get the same grade when you send it back in for recasing. But my experience has been that, you know, all 7 of them came back the same grade, and usually they do. Here is a mint on card Empire Strikes Back Leia with the Bespin gown, and this was unpunched, and it did have a yellowed blister there. And this one looks like it's the turtleneck version. Nice clean card. Which back is that? That one is the 41 back, and you can see the back there. So that's a really nice example. That sold for $305 on 14 bids plus $10.90 shipping. Again, you know, it's the same kind of story. I hate to be repetitive, but I think if this was a clear blister, you can easily double that price. High grade that's already graded. I've seen Leia Organa usually like on the early card backs, like the 31 card back, which is her debut card, that can easily command 4 figures, $1,000 plus. So this was a little bit later card back and a yellowed blister, so the price was lower accordingly. Here's a pretty rare one. This is a 31 back A, but this is the Canadian example. And it was a little bit lower grade. It was a 70 plus, but it did have a clear blister. And that one sold for $426.02. That's a pretty good deal. I mean, admittedly, it's only a 70 plus grade with CAS, but that is a gorgeous foreign card back, unpunched. And, you know, it has its flaws. It had like a staple punch going through on the left-hand side. So that's probably what the main culprit was for bringing the scores down. Here is the grading label. Yeah, so that was really the main culprit, is that the card got a 70 because of those staple punches. The blister 85, figure 80 for an overall 70 plus. And that's correctly, you know, that's correctly scored, because anytime you get kind of a hole in the card like it is there in the lower left there, that can, or the upper left, excuse me, below the hang tab, it can really bring the scores down. And this is a better shot here. You can see the 2 staple holes there on the card back. So that brought the overall score down, but this presents much better than a 70 plus, and that price was a pretty good deal in my mind. Another red figure to round things out, we've got Nien Nunb. And this is a cool one. This is a Power of the Force 2 Nien Nunb freeze frame action slide, but it was signed by Mike Quinn, the actor who portrayed Nien Nunb in Return of the Jedi. And he's got a very distinctive signature. He always signs his items exactly the same, with kind of a Nien Nunb design and the right above his actual signature. So Power of the Force 2 items are usually used pretty heavily for autographs at conventions and things like that, just because the mint on card figures are not worth all that much, with some rare exceptions. That one sold for $58.50. That's a pretty good deal for a nice signed Nien Nunb Power of the Force 2 item. Here's a mail away version. This is the 1983 mail away. This figure was a mail away on the 48 back transition card for Return of the Jedi, and this one is still sealed in the Hong Kong baggie. That one was listed for $75 with $5.99 shipping, best offer accepted. So probably $60 or so took that one home. Next up, we have a 65 back B, yellowed 80 US card back with the archival case. It's very slightly yellow though. Look how clean that blister is. Nien Nunb's one that usually does yellow pretty easily, and this was unpunched with no price sticker. So a very gorgeous example. That one sold for $453.02 in US dollars, or 650 Australian dollars. But that's a really clean example of a 65 back Nien Nunb. And here is a made in Mexico Lily Letty, and this one has the clear blister, as you'd expect for the made in Mexico US cards. Hard to tell what's going on here, whether that's curling from the blister or if it's potentially a reseal there. If I had to guess, it's probably just a defect from the factory, but these were made for the US market, but they were made down in Mexico. You can see in the lower left-hand corner on the bottom left, made in Mexico. And then there's also these factory punches right here that punch through to let the figure breathe. But here it is with a nice clear blister. That one sold for $235 US or 192 pounds on 12 bids. That's a pretty good price on a Nien Nunb, made in Mexico MIM. And oh, one other character, I forgot that I also added in the Emperor's Royal Guard. That's another good example for, this one's got red, white, and blue. So red on the figure, blue for the name pill and for behind the figure, and then white trim. So we got them all here to round out the video. This is a 65 back mint on card Emperor's Royal Guard, really nice and clean. This is another one that does yellow pretty easily, but this one has just very, very faint yellowing. And this one sold for $300 on free shipping on 11 bids, but a nice clean example of the ERG. Here was another one. This one sold for $147.50, a little bit heavier yellowing there, but it was unpunched with a little bit, maybe a little bit of sticker residue in the upper right-hand corner on the front of the card. But $147.50 took that one home. That was a 65 back A. And then finally, we have an AFA 80 example, same card back, 65A, which I believe is the debut card, unpunched but slightly yellowed. That one was listed for $12.99, so big money there. Whatever the final sales price was that was accepted by the seller, still big money, but a gorgeous card back nonetheless. That's all I really had for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you grill out lots of hamburgers and hot dogs and eat those for me, since I don't eat that stuff.